Enter the Dragon is released 3.5 weeks after Bruce's tragic death. He becomes the first Asian superstar in the world. The legend of Bruce Lee is born.
I sat with Linda at the Grauman's Chinese when we first saw the first playing of Enter the Dragon. And Bruce had just died 3 weeks before. And boy, that was one of the hardest moments that I can ever remember. But in a way, she was part of the art, and she was part of what we saw on the screen that night. And I was at least pleased that she was there to see what had happened.
Brandon Lee struggled in the shadow of his famous father, but he came to terms with the legacy of Bruce Lee when he turned down a major role in the film Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
I feel that I've gotten opportunities that I probably would not have gotten, or at least in a different fashion would have gotten, were I not his son. And I'm very grateful for that, you know? But as far as following his footsteps go, if one means by that, would I like to achieve the same level of excellence that he did? Yes, of course I would, in any field, you know? But doesn't mean that I want to imitate him in any way, shape, or form. No, because imitation is, it's pale, you know? It's not good. And besides which, we're just different people. I mean, we grew up under very different circumstances and in different countries, speaking different languages, you know? Reading different books, dating different women, and doing everything differently. So, that's how I feel about it.
On March 31st, 1993, Brandon Bruce Lee was killed on the set of the motion picture The Crow in Wilmington, North Carolina. Brandon was accidentally shot when a bullet was fired from a .44 caliber handgun that was supposed to have contained blanks. Even in death, Brandon could not escape the shadow of his father.
4 weeks ago today, the spirit of the father that shone so brightly through the sun was tragically extinguished. I feel I represent Bruce here today, and if he were here today, he would want to say to the film community that this must never happen again. And so I am calling for a positive call for action to the film community as individuals and collectively to take measures that the safety precautions that they have on their film sets will never lead to this series of negligent acts that took the life of my son. I say these things on the behalf of Brandon's father and myself, and on behalf of his sister Shannon and his fiancée Eliza, and all of the extended family and friends of Bruce and Brandon Lee. We expect that a young life will not be wasted in vain.
Brandon was such a, I don't know, I would say a pussycat. Brandon was just a wonderful boy. I mean, I know Brandon, he was the same age as my son, and Linda brought him over when he grew up, and he wanted to be an actor, and he really wanted to be an actor, and Linda had me talk him into go to college, you know, convince him, which I was trying to do with my son also, you know. And Brandon was just a gentleman.
On May 2nd, 1993, the New York Times reported both father and son struggled to realize the American dream only to have death leave them on the verge of success. Like James Dean and Marilyn Monroe, whose celebrity seduced the public and whose premature death came as a shock, Bruce and Brandon Lee's immortality seem assured. Their films record the bittersweetness of promise unfulfilled. Entertainment Weekly reported, within hours of Lee's shooting, an astonishing array of rumors were breathlessly circulated. Brandon Lee, it was said, was murdered by triads, a group of organized criminals. Others pointed to an uncanny similarity between Lee's killing and a scene in his father's final film, Game of Death, in which Bruce Lee's character, shooting a movie within a movie, gets hit by a real bullet while pretending to die of gunshot wounds. People magazine reported Bruce Lee's son Brandon was shot and killed as cameras rolled, sparking rumors of foul play and a family curse. Shortly before he died in 1973, Bruce Lee bought a house in a Hong Kong suburb called Kowloon Tong, incurring, as the legend has it, the jealous wrath of the neighborhood's resident demons. Robert Lee told Inside Kung Fu, "Our family believes Bruce was murdered. They believe Bruce's passing 20 years ago was no accident, no death by misadventure." On April 28, 1993, 20 years after his death, a Bruce Lee star was unveiled on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Bruce Lee was a man of vision. He's being honored here today for his work in film and television, but he blazed trails in other areas as well. He was an avid student and teacher of philosophy and martial arts, and he respected tradition. However, he was not bound by tradition, and in doing that, he inspired others to search for and find their own potential in life. Bruce Lee was also a man of action. One of his favorite quotes was, "Knowing is not enough. We must apply." By that he meant, it's great to learn knowledge, to study and everything, but if you don't do anything with it, it's useless. And then he said, "Willing is not enough. We must do." By which he meant that it's fine to wish for things, to want for things, to hope and to dream, but if you don't do anything about realizing your dreams, they're not going to happen.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, ladies and gentlemen.
I just came here today to pay respect to a guy who loved life like crazy. And I'll talk to you soon, Bruce.